Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And we have a little follow-up to last week's episode. There are some things that we didn't talk about in there that we feel you must know about before our next episode proper.
Yeah, one thing that I fully just overlooked in my notes, that once we finished recording and I realized I'd left it out, I was like, oh, the world must know. The world has to know this story about me and my child, really. And then we're also going to have a Frasier update, because in the most recent episode, 181, I was updating everybody on what I've been watching and what I've been into while I was on parental leave, and I talked about a connection I thought I sensed between Candyman and Frasier that turned out to be nothing. Well, it might be something. But
I think it's something.
I think it's something. I think it's a pretty big connection. But first, let's throw to this story that I mistakenly left out and deserves its own space. All right, take it away. Other version of Kristen and William. And honestly, I could have just pretended that I didn't overlook something, but I think it's kind of important and worth sharing.
Okay.
Because it's something that I've been up to, and it sort of speaks to the kind of person I am and how the person I am functions as a parent.
Okay.
Functions as a new parent. Mm-hmm. So Zoe, my daughter, which, by the way, for people out there, if you were part of the live recording of the episode, you got to enjoy stuff like this. I'm going to put it on the proper show, though. Enjoy a clip of my daughter. Oh, it's 50 minutes long. Here you go.
Aww.
And that's all you get. I pulled clips of baby Zoe that are less than 1 second long. So
best to leave them wanting more than to be like, the show is all baby now.
Exactly. But just in case. And there you go. Anyway, so I have been, Allie and I have been trying to find ways to get Zoe to fall asleep and stay asleep and rest. And it's hard to get her to sleep during nighttime. And anyway.
Baby stuff.
So we read to her a lot.
Yeah.
But she's 3 months old. So she doesn't know what we're saying.
Right.
She likes the sound of our voice. And it's important.
What messed up thing have been reading to Zoe?
Okay. So for starters, the sanctioned thing that we've been reading with Zoe is Stephen King's 11/22/63.
Okay.
Which is the time travel story about a guy going to the past trying to prevent the assassination of JFK.
Right. You could probably read that to her until she's 3 years old, right? Isn't it huge?
It's so long. Yeah. But I'm really loving it. Mm-hmm. But that's what Allie and I are getting into together. So I was up in the nursery with Zoe trying to get her to relax. So I was like, I'll read to her, but I can't read that book because I'll get ahead and I'm listening to it with Al. So no. So what am I going to do? So on my own, I've been reading a book called Toshi Den, which is written by Tara A. Devlin, at Tara A. Devlin on Twitter. Toshi Den, it's the first of a series of books that are about Japanese urban legends.
Okay.
And so the other day, they're all horrific.
Yeah,
they're all about, like, you might encounter this ghost who has slit her face open from ear to ear.
Yes.
Right. So I was reading, and the next chapter that I got to was the story of TekeTeke. Mm-hmm. And so I'm reading in the nursery to Zoe about how TekeTeke was a young woman living, I believe, in Hokkaido, and she was hit by a car, and she was pinned by the car, and it severed her in half at her middle. Mm-hmm. And now cut to, she died, but now the story is that children who are walking home on their own might encounter TekeTeke. That's what she's called.
Yeah.
Why is she called that? Because since she was severed at the middle, she crawls toward you on her elbows. And TekeTeke is the sound that her elbows on the ground make.
Oh my God.
So as I'm reading this story to my beautiful infant daughter,
oh my God,
I get a text from Allie saying, "What are you reading to Zoe?" Because what I neglected is that since I was reading this out loud, it's coming through on the baby monitor to Allie, who's hanging out in the living room, being like, what is going on up there?
That's awesome.
And so I had to explain the full situation. But not only that, there are like 5 variations of the TekeTeke story because it's urban legend.
Lots to go through.
Right? And the way it ends, Allie had already been like, what are you reading to her? And I was like, well, she doesn't know what I'm saying. She likes the sound of my voice. And truthfully, she was starting to
fall asleep,
relax. Mm-hmm. And but as the story ends up, It goes, and those who have been told the story of TekeTeke may be cursed.
Oh no!
And you may be doomed to meet TekeTeke within 3 days.
Oh God!
Yeah. So today, Kristen, as we record this, is the 3rd day.
We got to keep her inside.
Gotta keep Zoe inside.
We're not going anywhere.
Here's what I'm saying. I think I'm a good father. She doesn't know what I've been reading to her. I inadvertently cursed her.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I was going to.
You didn't know?
And as she begins to comprehend more and more of the substance of that which I read, I will make sure that it is age appropriate. For now, I felt it was important for her to just hear my voice, hear the cadence of reading.
Yes.
They say it's important to read to your children early.
Absolutely.
So that's what I was doing. But I accidentally cursed her, and TekeTeke's on the way. So as long as we can keep her indoors, I think we're okay.
We're almost there. What time is it? It's like 5:05 as we're recording, so we have like 7 more hours.
We got about
just
7 hours.
Under.
Yes.
I think she's gonna make it.
I think she's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a calculated risk.
That's awesome.
Anyway, the TekeTeke story was also super cool, and the Toshi Den book series I'm really enjoying.
Oh, awesome.
So that's good.
If anybody wants to curse their own children.
Yeah. Anyway, I forgot to mention that in the main show.
Yeah.
But you can see now why I couldn't let that be the end of it.
Absolutely.
It had to...
Totally. It's both a recommendation for anybody who's listening or watching.
Yeah.
Plus, it's an awesome story.
Yes. So anyway, that's really the full update.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me some of your time.
Oh, please.
But I don't just have something to tell you. Actually, I was talking with Zoe, and she did have something she wanted to say to our listeners.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to play this clip.
Yeah, throw it to Zoe.
Zoe, what do you think of people who don't share Guide to the Unknown with their friends or leave reviews on Apple Podcasts? Me too. And there you go.
There you have it.
There you have it. So thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you soon,
Yep.
I'm sure. Honestly, I'm a horror writer, right? If you have a horror writer parent,
Yeah.
spooky stuff's going to happen.
Look, it's going to get weird.
I could do better.
No, I mean, I'm with you. She doesn't know what you're saying.
She doesn't know it.
It's fine.
ZoeZoe, TekeTeke. I want to add that since we recorded that update, this is like a news program now where we have updates inside of updates. It has now been beyond the 3 days of cursings. And
Yeah, she's safe.
she's safe. Everyone's fine. I did start reading her another urban legend about Sugisawa Village. We're all happy. We're all happy.
What's happening in Sugisawa Village?
Nothing good.
Oh, well,
Anyway.
nothing that is going to affect her, though, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. Okay, but without any further ado, it's time for the Frasier versus Candyman update.
Yeah.
So just to remind everybody where we left it, I watched an episode of Frasier called Retirement is Murder, where Frasier's dad was trying to solve an old killing when he was on the police force that he could never solve. The murder of a woman named Helen, and one of the suspects was named Robitaille. On Guide to the Unknown 181, I talked about how Robitaille made me think of Daniel Robitaille, the human living name of the man who would eventually become the horror icon Candyman. But in that episode, what I say is Retirement is Murder, the Frasier episode, came out January 1995, and Candyman didn't come out until August of 1995, so then it's impossible.
Right. They couldn't have been inspired by the movie because we thought that the movie didn't come out until months after the episode.
Huge blunder, blooper, gaffe, goof. Kristen, Candyman, the original Candyman came out in 1992.
Oh, this changes everything.
Changes everything. Let me explain as well, because when I first Googled to find out when Candyman came out, it gave me the Candyman 2021 movie. And so I started typing in Candyman 1990, and Google filled in 1995, and I hit enter, and I just saw cover art, and I was like, oh, so I'm a dope. And I was so just sort of like the bubble had burst for me in that instant that I just took it as fact. Oddly, one thing I didn't say to you in the episode, Kristen, I was going to say, isn't it crazy that Candyman didn't come out until 1995? It feels like an 80s movie or something.
Yeah, it does feel like an 80s movie.
It just feels older. Well, it didn't come out in 1995. It came out in 1992. And we have all of this information. We have to thank Christina in the Guide to the Unknown Facebook group for pointing this out. Christina wrote, "No, guys, it holds up. The original Candyman movie was 1992. So not only do the timelines work, Candyman came out, and then this Frasier episode with Helen murdered and Robitaille as a suspect, that came out 3 years later. So maybe the writers were fans, that's possible. But it doesn't end there, because Christina also caught another connection. As I said, Marty Crane, Frasier's papa, was trying to solve the murder of Helen. Helen is the name of the main character in Candyman.
See, that clinches it for me. Obviously, timeline-wise, like, of course, that was troublesome, but I still could have been like, well, Robitaille is a last name, so whatever. But Helen and Robitaille, I totally think it's a thing.
Helen is the victim, and Robitaille is one of the murder suspects.
Yes.
Just like Helen is the protagonist who is being victimized by Daniel Robitaille in Candyman. It is ironclad.
Yes.
To me now, it's law.
It's canon. Did you look up any connections here?
I did. I went down a couple of different rabbit holes. You'll be happy to know, Kristen, that maybe we'll have future updates. Who can really say? Because I am in the process of trying to get in contact with the writers of that episode, Elias Davis and David Pollock. Great. Now, those two wrote only one other episode of Frasier. It is an episode called The Club, where Frasier and his brother Niles are both trying to get access to the same fancy pants club, and hilarity ensues. I'm going to be rewatching that episode to see if there are other horror references there that I might catch. Maybe these two are just horror fans.
Have they done other horror things? Did you go to their IMDb or anything?
No, they are sitcom writers basically exclusively. At least Elias Davis wrote for MASH going way back. Maybe they both did. Yeah, they both did. But they wrote for Full House, Cheers, Growing Pains. Yeah, a lot of sitcoms. Carol Burnett Show. But to be quite honest, I do feel that comedy and horror go hand in hand to a certain degree. And so it's entirely reasonable that they should be horror fans, and maybe they've slipped in references in other bits of their writing. Now, because they are so enmeshed in the industry, I do think that it is sort of harder to get in touch with them. They're not just like, on Twitter. But I'm going to still try to track down an answer here, or at least get some kudos clarity. Because as I said in the original, in Guide to the Unknown 181, can you imagine if I'm the first person to draw the connection?
Imagine.
We're here again. Kristen, can you imagine the fame that this might bring?
This is going to be huge.
This is going to be enormous.
I hope you're ready to go viral. I hope you've scrubbed your Twitter timeline for anything unsavory.
Sure, of course. Elias Davis is on Twitter. 79 followers, hasn't tweeted in 8 years. David Pollock.
Brother of Kevin?
I don't know.
Father of Kevin.
That I'm afraid I don't know. But anyway, I will continue to try to figure out if there's any further connection here. But the point is,
something's there.
Something's there. And thank you so much to Christina for forging that connection in fire.
This thing wide open. Thank you, Christina.
Christina also pointed out that Virginia Madsen, who plays Helen in Candyman, later would guest on Frasier. I looked that up as well. Virginia Madsen was in 3 episodes of Frasier. Like I said, these two writers, David Pollock and Elias Davis, only wrote 2 episodes of Frasier ever. They did not write her episodes. It doesn't mean that there maybe wasn't some inspiration that came through. Maybe they're not even the ones that were responsible for those names getting in, by the way. So
true, that's true.
Maybe Virginia Madsen remains a Candyman reference. Maybe there are Candyman references sprinkled throughout Frasier. I don't know. But I think that she is just casting. I think she's a guest star. I don't think that she's
a working actress.
Exactly.
Remember there's a while I kept bringing up Virginia Madsen on the show? I did.
You did? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, Virginia Madsen's in that, whatever. And I'd be like, she's Michael Madsen's sister. She's in Sideways. And you're like, why do you talk about Virginia Madsen so much?
Interesting. Maybe there are Candyman references stretching back to the beginning of this show. Everybody, start back at episode 1 of Guide to the Unknown. work your way up to now and see if there are a bunch of Candyman references.
Or number 3 references.
Yes, absolutely. But there you go. Candyman and Frasier, 2 peas in a pod, hand in hook, friends forever. So there you go, everybody. Those are 2 updates for Guide to the Unknown 181. Who knew? Whoever could have expected this?
We had to do what we had to do. We had to let you know.
It's true. We had to. It's our responsibility.
It's out of our hands.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in for this little update. Hope you're all doing well. We'll see you in shows later this week.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. How does it feel knowing that I was so right, by the way?
It feels fine.